Hello, welcome to the Daily Craig Sports Show. Thanks for being here. It is Wednesday, August the 23rd. I am Craig. Here we are in front of the stellar bookcase. Make us look very studious. We're in the basement, so if you hear any background noise, it is what it is. It's an unfinished basement. This is where we're going to be. So anyway, today is kind of the re-kickoff of the sports show. Like to do this. Did not get on a consistent basis the last couple of years, but this is something I want to do every single day. Maybe come down here around lunchtime, spend a few minutes just kind of chatting. This is not live, so this will go up. So if there's anything that has happened after we've recorded, then I apologize. But it is 1 o'clock now here on Wednesday, August the 23rd, 2023. So we're going to talk a little bit about what's going on in the sports world, touch base on what's happening right now, and then just kind of keep talking every single day. So hopefully you enjoyed, hopefully you tune in, subscribe. This will be its own separate playlist, so you can take a peek at old episodes if anything like that is of interest. But today, we're here in Indianapolis, and the big talk here, there's a couple things. Number one, Anthony Richardson, AR5, he's our guy, he's QB1. The Colts and Eagles did a little bit of a mock joint practice yesterday. Quite a few little skirmishes, little fights, a few things going on there. They play tomorrow. That's kind of the last preseason game for both teams. It sounds like the Colts are going to play their starters for a while. Everybody around here is losing their minds because Anthony Richardson didn't play in the second game. Well, he had 2 full days of practice against the Bears, kind of that joint practice last week. That's why he didn't play. Everybody's saying, oh my gosh, look at this. He doesn't have any experience. He needs to get snaps after snaps, all this kind of stuff. This is a terrible example because he didn't work out in the league. But Mitch Trubisky is from my North Carolina Tar Heels. How many starts did he have in college? The same amount of starts that Anthony Richardson has. It's very, very common now where you get a Trevor Lawrence or a Jalen Hurts or somebody like that, a Bryce Young that's played 2 or 3 years. But it's also kind of uncommon to have that. That kind of, offsets each other, but it's not very crazy to think about a quarterback that played 1 year in college, maybe 2, got hot, got developed, got ready for the pros, and then there he is. Joe Burrow. Joe Burrow played a little bit before, but he had that 1 year that he was absolutely unbelievable. Now, that's not even close to being a good comparison because Joe Burrow is at a totally different level than Anthony Richardson, especially with their college career. Joe Burrow probably had the best collegiate year in history. But everybody's kind of losing their minds with Anthony Richardson here getting snaps. So hopefully he gets some good snaps tomorrow for the preseason game. Put him on the shelf early, maybe let him 20, 25 snaps, something like that. He can sit on the shelf and then wait for opening weekend in a week and a half. The other big Colts topic, of course, is the running back Jonathan Taylor. Now, we are huge Jonathan Taylor fans here. We've got a fat head, we've got a jersey. He killed our Big Ten teams, IU and Purdue and all those other teams, while he was at Wisconsin. Great running back. And since he's been in the league, great guy. Always in the community, very, very quiet, did his thing, always had time for others. Fantastic story. My son wanted the jersey, so we got it for him for Christmas. This is awesome. Then he gets hurt and kind of rehabs, and here we go, and then going to play out the contract, but then not. Everybody knows the story. So right now they are actively looking for a trade partner, they being the Colts and or Jonathan Taylor. A couple things to think about. Now, number one, the betting odd favorite in Vegas is Miami, followed by Chicago, maybe Baltimore. You have to find a team that has to have 2 things that they're willing to do. Number one, they have to be willing to give up a high draft pick. First round pick, second round pick, maybe 2 2s, maybe a couple 3s and a 2. They have to be willing to give that up. And then they also have to be willing to renegotiate and give Jonathan Taylor close to what he wants. We don't know what that monetary value is, but we do know that it's going to be 3 or 4 years what he wants. Probably, 15, 16 million a year. Delvin Cook just signed for 8 million? Ezekiel Elliott less than that. Jonathan Taylor was hurt and kind of came back, but then kind of didn't. And now he's on the list where he's maybe got a back issue. His ankle's still being rehabbed. If Jonathan Taylor didn't have a contract problem, would he be on the field right now? Maybe. If the trade happens, he'd be on the field tomorrow? Maybe. So you, as a team, are willing to give up a high draft pick, you're willing to invest in this player, and you really don't know if he's healthy. You don't know what's going on with the ankle. You don't know if he's willing to go fast, if he's able, if he's still shifty. He had a good year and a half, and he was really, really good. Really, really good. Finished, probably should have finished higher even in the MVP vote, and was the MVP for the Colts. He was the man. Last year when they needed him, the line kind of let him down, and he didn't do much. And then he got hurt, and here we are today. There's a lot of things here going into this. Now, nationally, people are mad at Irsay. Oh, Irsay created this monster. No, he didn't. No. If you know Irsay, and living here for 42 years, being a Colts fan my entire life, Jim Irsay defends the shield. He defends the NFL more than anything. He was the one that was outspoken about Daniel Snyder leaving. He was the one that was outspoken about the running backs not getting any special preferential treatment or contracts. He will not put the entire NFL at risk, the other 31 teams, to satisfy one player on his team. He just won't do it. He won't. So what he's going to do is he is going to do what is best for the franchise. I truly think that they want Jonathan Taylor here. I truly think that they think he is a big playmaker, which he is. I think they're concerned with the health, and I think they're very, very mad that Taylor's agent was a little immature going out there, putting things out there about him never coming back, never getting worked out, quite a few things like that. So I think there's a lot here going on. What will happen? I truly think Jonathan Taylor doesn't play all year. I truly think he won't be traded. I truly think he will sit out. I think they will work something out where he's either on the PUP or he's on the injured list, or something will happen where he will not play for the Colts ever again. I think the Colts are going to stand packed where they're not just going to give him away for a 5th or 6th round pick. I think they have their standards where they say, we're not going below this. What happens if a big running back gets hurt in week 1, 2, 3, or 4, whatever, before the trading deadline? Well, that changes everything. Everything. If there's a team that kind of came out of the woodwork that is on fire, that needs a running back, needs another playmaker, that could change things. And that could get that team a little motivated where they could work out something. We don't even know if Jonathan Taylor's healthy. We don't even have a clue the contract demands that he wants. So there are so many things going on. Would it surprise me if there's a trade tomorrow? For sure. I would be totally shocked if the Colts get anywhere near what they want. And I'd be totally shocked if a team is willing to give him the contract that he wants. Because he's awesome, but Delvin Cook's pretty good too. And he really didn't get a ton of traction out there. He did, eventually the Jets where he wanted, but he didn't get that massive long-term contract. So the running back market stinks. It does. For the running backs, for the teams, they have all the leverage. Because if Jonathan Taylor doesn't play, you've got 3 or 4 different options that can go. Now, they're not playmakers. They're not extreme breakaway speed like JT has and, the ability to catch it out of the backfield and do all those things that he does. But they're serviceable. So why the running backs, they're kind of stuck right now. They're kind of stuck. They need to be a little bit more they need to adjust. They need to adjust and change what they do. They need to be bigger threats out of the backfield. They need to be, different things like that. So, long story short, Jonathan Taylor here in Indy, it is an absolute just fight. It is a mess. Jim Irsay wins. There's some times where he will cave and say, here you go, but he said they're not trading him. Then he kind of reneged on that and said, okay, we can kind of look for a partner. They're just not going to find what they want. They're not. So, his contract's up at the end of the year this year. I would totally expect him to either be dealt midway through the season, right before the trade deadline, if there is a team that is looking for somebody right then because of an injury or something, or they hold on to him and then he just kind of walks away. So what a terrible, bad situation. I don't think that this hurts Anthony Richardson. I know that other people are saying that, oh my gosh, you have to have a good running game. Well, yeah, you do have to get a good running game to take the stress off your quarterback, but ultimately, Anthony Richardson's got to go out there and throw, and he's got to run, and he's got to learn to play quarterback in the NFL. He's got to figure it out. So I think where Chris Ballard and the whole administration for the Colts have let them down is they've given money to certain people, and it just hasn't worked. Ryan Kelly, Quentin Nelson, they both were awful last year. So if your line steps up to where it could be, this could be an interesting team. They're going to make a big run? No, they just don't have many weapons. But they've got Josh Downs. They've got Michael Pittman. Pittman, his contract's coming up too. What's he say? It'll figure itself out. Now, he's not in the big mess with the running backs like Jonathan Taylor is, talking to the running backs all the time, uniting to say we've got to go and fix this. It's a different situation, but at the end of the day, Michael Pittman's handling it totally different than Jonathan Taylor. So there's your Colts talk. Sorry if you're outside of Indianapolis, but we're in Indy, and that's what we're going to talk about a lot. Did not see Hard Knocks, going to check that out. Did not see the Florida documentary. I've heard really bad things about the Florida documentary. I'm a big Tim Tebow fan. I love Florida. I have a really good friend that went there, got all the Florida gear, loved watching them growing up, loved Spurrier and, Danny Werfel and all those guys spending it all the time in all those bowl games. But what a mess that team was with Urban Meyer and Aaron Hernandez and the Pouncey twins and all kinds of Percy Harvin, I think, was the other one there. But there's a lot going on with that team. And it sounds like the documentary didn't really touch on a lot of it, which is frustrating. So probably going to check that out, even though it's going to be a little bit more disappointing. I did catch the new episode of the Showtime. I think it's called Showtime. It's the Lakers show on HBO. I forget exactly what it is. Lakers Dynasty or whatever. I think John C. Reilly is the actor, and it's kind of about how Magic Johnson and the Lakers dynasty came into power. It's a really good show. Episode 3 was basically about Larry Bird, a lot about Larry Bird's history and about how he started at IU, went to Indiana State, and then ended up at the Celtics, and that rivalry that Bird and Magic had for all those years. So it's a really good show. Check that out. They're on the second season now. They make Jerry West look like a complete a-hole, which he's come out and said, that's not me. And all these other people have said, that's not me. But unfortunately, it's entertaining. It's an interesting show, and I tune in every single Monday to catch it from Sunday night. So that's just a little bit about what's going on in the sports world. With Major League Baseball, some stuff's going on right now. Our Cincinnati Reds have got a doubleheader tonight against the LA Angels. Yesterday they won 4-3. Elly de La Cruz went from first base to home in 9.7 seconds. Absolutely unbelievable, the speed that alien has. They play at 4 o'clock and 9:30. The Cardinals are up 5-0 on the Pirates in the second inning. Detroit and the Cubs are getting ready to start at 1. Bunch of games starting here at 2 o'clock into the afternoon and evening. So a lot of baseball stuff going on, a lot of football stuff going on as they're getting ready for that final preseason game tomorrow. College football week 0 starts this weekend. Navy and Notre Dame over in Dublin. Dan Patrick's show was out there. Listen to that a little bit, kind of getting prepared for that. The Notre Dame athletic director was on talking about conference realignment and everything. And this will kind of be the last thing we'll talk about, and then we'll shut the show down for day 1 here on Wednesday. Conference realignment is really, really weird. And this season is going to be really, really weird because USC and UCLA are not with the Big Ten yet, but they're coming. So it's kind of this sad swan song for the Pac-12. They've still got Oregon and USC and UCLA and Washington and all these teams that are leaving. And really, Cal and Stanford are kind of left standing there saying, what are we doing? There's still a push, I think, for them to go to the ACC. Why don't they just come to the Big Ten? Make it an even 20 teams and get them in there. Their scholastic marks are going to hit the threshold that obviously go way above it that the Big Ten wants. So it'd be really, really interesting to kind of have a West Coast Big Ten and then a Midwest, East Coast Big Ten. So that'll be interesting. But college football this season is going to be really, really crazy, really, really intense. My Tar Heels start against South Carolina, which is going to be an interesting game. Jim Harbaugh is not going to coach the first 3 games because of self-imposed penalties. But we'll talk about that as that is coming down the pike. We've got a few days before college football kicks off. Another big story is the Chiefs. Chris Jones, which Booger McFarland was on the radio earlier saying that he is almost better than Aaron Donald. He's really, really good. I don't know if he's that good, but he is willing to sit out until week 8, he said. He's going to be able to $1.1 million is what he's going to be fined that's what he's going to forfeit every single week that he doesn't play. He said that he can afford it, and he said he's going to try to get back. Week 8 is kind of his threshold, so we'll see if that works. His a hold in now they call it. You're there, but you're not playing or doing anything, so we'll see what happens there. Deshaun Watson from the Browns knows that he needs to prove that he's elite. Well, he needs to prove a lot of things, so we'll see what happens there. It's one of those things. Oh, Reggie Bush is suing the NCAA for defamation. what an interesting time for college sports and all kinds of stuff like that. But that's it. We're going to shut the show off today, right here, about 15 minutes for this episode. So I thank you so much for tuning in. It was a lot of Colts talk, a little bit of baseball. We're just going to see what's going on in the world and talk about it a little bit. No, pre-scripted thing. I just went to ESPN and Sports Illustrated, and actually went to the MLB app to see what was going on in the games coming up. So we're going to tune into the two Reds games this evening. We've also got Little League Baseball. We're a travel baseball family, so we started in Little League, moved over to travel. So we do kind of pay attention and watch the Little League. We know that it's more travel teams more than Little League playing in there, but it is interesting. It is really, really fun to watch. So we're going to check out the Little League. There's a couple really good games if you're interested. Texas and Washington are on the winner's bracket. They're really, really good. And then on the loser's bracket, it's California and Tennessee. Tennessee is known as Stella with the Fellows. It's a young lady playing on the team, and she's really, really good. So those four teams are really, really good, really loaded, great pitching. So check that out. It's really, really fun to see. Those kids are one of two ways. They're either having the time of their life or they're miserable. And I only say that because I've coached youth sports since our son is now 15. I started at age 9, and there's different days where they're loving to be out there ready to go, and then there's other days you can tell they just want to be home playing games. So it's interesting to watch these kids at this high stress, high level on ESPN. Every single game's on ESPN, so it's interesting to see how they react. So tune into those games through the weekend. Championship games actually on Sunday. So anyway, thanks for being here. Appreciate all of you. Make sure you please subscribe to the channel. Check out our weekly videos. This is the Daily Craig Sports Show. We'll see you tomorrow.